Test. Sounds good. Actually, Brooke, that's not necessary. Yeah, let's just we'll handle it. Yeah, you don't have to shuffle them. All right, I'll ask everybody to take their seats, and we will begin. Thank you all for coming. Roger has assured me that the machine starts when I start, so that's good. Usually I get a countdown, so Roger's a pro. Welcome, everybody, to our plenary session of our second Ignite Innovation Showcase. It has been a heck of a week. Amazing activities all week long throughout the entire building and activities around campus. So it's just been a fantastic week, and we're here to thank you. We do have a lot of people to thank, and we will get to that. But to kick things off, I would like to introduce two of our most successful innovation innovation fellows, the student fellows. Sam Golok and Khushi Kapoor are here to talk about their experience as innovation fellows and what this program has meant to them. Sam and Khushi, come on up.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second annual Innovation Awards ceremony. My name is Khushi Kapoor.
And my name's Sam Golok.
And we are honored to be here to be recognized among our amazing peers. I first joined the Innovation Fellows program in the fall of 2020 after receiving not one, but multiple emails from someone named Karen Kearns. The first few emails were regarding an innovation cohort training to hear and learn from Dennis Muhlenberg. Immediately, as any aerospace engineer would, I was hooked. After attending the first few sessions and receiving a few more emails from Karen, I finally hopped on my first Zoom call with her, and as all of you may feel after speaking with her, I was very inspired. I knew right away that this program would be something special.
And it turns out we had the chance to join this incredible program at the ground level. The Iowa State University Innovation Fellows Program is a community of driven undergraduate students from all majors with the guidance of the world's greatest industry leaders that are empowered to pursue the application of science, technology, and the arts in new and creative ways. Fellows don't just stand on the shoulders of giants, they're mentored by them. leaders that develop Iowa State's undergraduates into capable innovators of every stripe. With the resources of the Student Innovation Center, fellows can take their cutting-edge ideas all the way through implementation, something that is truly a hallmark of our university. And when fellows graduate, they're leaving vested with the knowledge and the means to change the world.
Everything that we've collectively achieved in this room would not have been possible without a strong and helpful foundation. These are some of the people that have allowed us to dream big and make our successes possible. Now, I know you may want to clap after I name all of these, but please hold your applause until the end. Firstly, to Jim Oliver, the director of the Student Innovation Center. Thank you for providing us with the resources in my favorite building on campus. The center allows for collaboration, prototyping in labs, great events in the Stepatorium, and more. Your support of the innovation programs doesn't go unnoticed, and we are so thankful to have access to this incredible building that sets us apart. To Kimberly, Brooke, and Manisha, who have led the communications and programming of the Innovation Fellows program. We literally wouldn't be here without you today. From the tireless hours of organizing crazy college schedules to ensuring every event is planned out and advertised, thank you. To Jake, you're a master of all things audiovisual and have allowed many, many events to go smoothly, whether it be setting up live streams or juggling mics, thank you. And to Rachel, for ensuring all of us have a space to work in, even with requests like, hey Rachel, I need a room for 10 people with Zoom capabilities at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. Thank you.
We'd also like to thank our innovators and residents, leaders in industry and academia who are continuously contributing to their fields of practice, but who've also chosen to dedicate their time and themselves to building up a new generation of innovators. Thank you so much for bringing fellows along with you on your exciting business ventures. Also to our university faculty and professors like Matt Nelson and Mr. Shares, who've partnered with the program. Your expertise allows students to take lessons learned in the classroom and put them into practice.
To Karen Kearns, where do we begin? This program has soared to great heights in just 2 years, and students have achieved unthinkable success due to your mentorship. This program has been built from the ground up under your guidance, and the connections you've brought in have been invaluable. You are truly a visionary and have helped every single one of us become better teammates, leaders, and versions of ourselves. Thank you.
And lastly, to President Winterstein, you had the vision to create a university experience centered on producing world-class innovators and the resolve to invest in the Innovation Fellows program from its inception. Your leadership has maintained and strengthened Iowa State University's place as one of the nation's top academic institutions, but also its new role as a destination for innovation. Let's give a round of applause to all these people that helped make this possible.
The Fellows Program is uniquely driven by students' desire to be and become the change makers of the future. Everyone being recognized today has put in tireless hours of ideating, researching, prototyping, and executing. From Brenner and Luke working on pollinator detection using machine learning, to Ava and Abby working on to raise voter engagement, the interdisciplinary nature of these teams has allowed students of any background to become key contributors at every level of engagement.
The opportunity available to students in the Innovation Fellows program cannot be overstated. Students aren't just working on school projects, they're leading initiatives as consultants and partners with CEOs and entrepreneurs at graduate level quality that delivers high impact, actionable insights.
Every time I meet a new fellow, I'm continuously excited to learn about their projects and feel inspired by each and every one of them. Although some of us in this group will be graduating soon, I feel fortunate to know we've made really great friends throughout this journey. As we pass the innovation torch with the flame of ingenuity and inspiration down to our underclassmen, I'm nothing but certain that the future of this program will continue to burn brighter. With that, we would like to invite President Wendy Winterstein to the stage.
Well, thank you both. You know, Khushi has to leave now because she's the head of a team that was designated as a finalist in NASA's Global Rocket Competition. So what about that? That deserves a round of applause. Sam is also working on some exciting projects. He was chosen as the project manager of 2 major industry-sponsored innovation sprints, the Energy Vault Sustainability Project and the Hydrogen Fuel Cell Project. So another round of applause for Sam and Khushi. Well, what an exciting week this has been. The showcase does an outstanding job of highlighting the breadth of student innovation occurring here at Iowa State University. And it's occurring in every college and on every corner of campus. I continue to be amazed by our students' ingenuity and their determination. I want to make my own set of thanks before we go on with the program. I too want to thank Karen Piccone-Kearns, Director of Innovation Programs, for everything she's done to help open up the Student Innovation Center to really make it come alive. So a round of applause for Karen. And of course, Jim Oliver, Director of the Student Innovation Center. Thank you, Jim. And there is a big team that helps this all occur, and so we want to thank them for this incredible week of events. Another round of applause for the big team. And I can't go on without mentioning the deans. So I see the deans from our academic colleges here and the commitment that they've made to be engaged, not just this week, but throughout the entire year. So thanks to all the academic deans. A round of applause for them. And of course, as I look out into the auditorium here, thanks to all of our student innovators. You're the ones that matter. You're the ones that we're betting the future on. So thank you for being here today to celebrate. Thank you for your engagement in these important programs. Okay. We all know that innovation can only occur when everyone is invited to the table. Invited to the table and encouraged to share their thoughts and their talents in an equal and open manner. And that is what Innovate at Iowa State is all about. It's our call to action to all students to ignite a big idea, to start something new, and make their mark for a better world. One of the things the students really enjoy is the opportunity to interact and learn from our experienced entrepreneurs and professional innovators. And that's why we're very excited to have with us today Ms. Ton Lee, the founder and CEO of EMOTIV, a neuroinformatics company recognized as a world leader and pioneer in the field of EEG and brain-computer interfaces. The company has researchers in over 100 countries. Ms. Lee is the recipient of numerous awards, including the prestigious 2018 Innovation Research Interchange Achievement Award, a 2013 National Geographic Emerging Explorer, Fast Company's Most Influential Woman in Technology in 2010, and Forbes 50 Names You Need to Know in 2011. In 2009, she was selected by the World Economic Forum as a young global leader. Karen gave me the opportunity to meet with Ton Lee before today, and I had the pleasure of learning a little bit more about her life. And she shared with me the importance of women in her life, the influence of women, and how that had made a difference for her. She shared with me that she was raised by a single parent, her mother, and that now she has her own daughter. And she tells us all that we should remember the journey we're on and to celebrate that journey every day and to recognize those around us who have helped us go so far. So with that, I'm going to access, or someone's going to help me access, a short video to further introduce Ton Lee and her company. Excellent. Jim Oliver's coming up.
It took hundreds of thousands of years to move from one technology step to another. Thousands of years to learning to smelt different types of metals. Hundreds of years to move to printing presses and gunpowder. tens of years to move through radio and telephone to television. Were this to continue, you could imagine the steps becoming so big and the times becoming so small that suddenly it was as if all possible technologies were invented instantly.
We are wondering what is happening to the world. Everything is changing.
The very idea of human being some sort of natural concept is really going to change.
Our bodies will be so high-tech, we won't be able to really distinguish between what's natural and what's artificial.
Inside our own heads is the most complex arrangement of matter in the known universe.
You might ask yourself, can we get to be superhumans?
With the ability to visualize brain activity, for example, through a simple consumer-based EEG device, it gives us access to ourselves in ways that we've never before thought possible. It unlocks the black box that is the brain and enables us to really, truly be able to realize an identity that is aspirational.
There's now a scientific foundation for the effects of mindfulness on the brain, on the genome, on biological aging. And when the human mind does know itself, then you get the potential for a new renaissance that restructures itself in terms of our relationship to life, our relationship to the planet, our relationship to work.
Ultimately, what it means to me to be human is the ability to make choices.
To be human is to be highly adaptive and to seek, as we march into the future, a better and better life.
We've been augmenting our capabilities for a very long time. It's just about extending capability where it doesn't occur naturally.
Active implantable devices will change what it means to be human more than we've ever seen before.
The future of humanity, the future of our bodies will be determined by technology.
There's a lot of parallels in science fiction and the kinds of things that we're seeing in the technology world.
Hello, everyone. Actually, let me turn on my mic. I can speak. Oh, much better. Much better. So thank you so much. It really is a privilege to join you today and to speak to everyone, but especially to the students and the fellows who are innovating. You know, I know that in order for you to be here, you've shown that you have this drive to innovate. And as you think about moving through the rest of your studies and as you start to move into industry, I know that many of you will continue to lead the way in developing innovative new ideas and technologies. And so this talk is for many of you. So I'd like to start by telling you a story about a young woman named Cora. Cora Lovio is just 17. Her deep brown eyes are lively and expressive, and you'll rarely see her without a smile. Her vivacious personality draws people toward her. The heart and soul of her social circle, Cora cherishes human connection. Her favorite pastime is, by far, hanging out with friends in her hometown of Mount Shasta, California. Life is good, with all the drama and excitement a 17-year-old girl should have. Cora had only just begun dreaming about what she would do in the future when a tragic car accident shattered the happiness of those blissful days. Her brain was deprived of oxygen for only a few brief minutes, but that was all it took. She lost control of her body, and with it, she lost control of her world. She couldn't walk, or talk, or feed herself. Cora was confined to a wheelchair and lost all ability to communicate. Her life became increasingly isolated. Over a period of 10 long years, she had become increasingly disengaged from everything and everyone around her. The teen who had once thrived on socializing with her many friends was now alone, cut off from the people and the world around her. Cora felt helpless.
When Cora was 17, she had an accident, her and her sister driving home, went off the road and hit a tree.
I want you to think about like pushing the box upward.
EMOTIV has given her another avenue for recreation, for communication.
It touches you in a way that makes all of the times when you think this is too hard, you want to give up, it makes it all really, really worthwhile.
What has it been like to see these changes in your daughter for you?
You're gonna make me cry. It's made me very happy to see if there is an avenue that we can get more of her back.
Cora may not know it, but she inspires me every day. My eyes tear up when I watch her YouTube videos, and it's still hard for me to describe what I feel when I see her smiling and laughing. It reinforced for me and the conviction that I have that the technology that we've created holds profound value in today's world and even more promise for tomorrow. A major breakthrough in her personal life, Cora's experience also gives us a glimpse into the future possibilities of this technology. These are powerful steps towards personal autonomy, not only for people like Cora who requires full-time care, but also for the nearly 40 million adult Americans who have some form of physical functioning difficulty. Helping people with disabilities use their minds to overcome physical limitations was one of the reasons that inspired me to action. Now, most innovation involves incremental improvements on what has gone before. The creation of a more powerful engine, a brighter light, a more efficient way of connecting via social media. This kind of development is important. It's the bread and butter work that improves our lives little by little. But what I would like to do today is encourage you to think beyond, to think about a different type of innovation, the kind required to develop transformative technologies that will find a permanent home in our landscape and that hold out the possibility of reshaping the world in a dramatic way. This type of innovation is not so much concerned with a light bulb moment that leads to a new insight or a new invention. It's not concerned with a single innovative moment, but it's rather with the long-term processes of development that can take a big idea and work with it to change the world over a period of decades. I'm not here to give you a playbook for this sort of innovation or a recipe for creating groundbreaking technology. I myself am a work in progress, and I'm not in a position to hand down the definitive rules for successful innovation. In fact, I don't think there is any fixed set of rules. There is no one-size-fits-all formula for successful innovation because every success is nuanced, personal, dependent on unique environments and sets of conditions. While every success is in part rooted in its initial conditions, it's also often a result of making a series of good decisions alongside favorable market conditions or social trends that are not within our control. When we set out to innovate, we begin an expedition into a future that is only partly known, and the contours of which are shaped by others as well as ourselves. But although we can't know or control everything that will happen on our journey, what we can control is how we prepare for, confront, and deal with this uncertainty. With the right approach and preparation, we can take risks intelligently and minimize the chances of being sunk by the obstacles that lie ahead. So while I'm not able to offer you a definitive guide to successful innovation, what I'd like to do is to draw from my own personal experience and insights to identify the key ingredients that to me are central to this process. And I hope that they will also be useful to you as you set out on your own journeys into the unknown. In 2003, I found myself at a crossroads. I was negotiating the sale of my first venture, a middleware platform for telecommunication carriers, and trying to decide which of life's roads to take next. I was in the privileged position of having options. I could return to the law and pick up the path towards my childhood goal of becoming a senior attorney, or I could try to repeat the success of my first venture and aim to build another piece of technology that would make some small contribution to our information age. But when I sat down to identify what was important to me, I found that neither of these routes would really satisfy. My main motivation is to make my life meaningful, to make a positive impact on the state of the world. And I owe this motivation to my parents. When I was a very young child, my mother risked her life to escape from Vietnam so that she could bring her daughters up in a free and open society. She gave up everything to start her life again in a foreign land so that my sister and I could live lives full of possibilities. My father remained behind in case we were captured and imprisoned. There would be someone who could care for us from the outside. When my father was finally able to attempt his own escape, he was captured. He spent 10 years in jail, isolated from the outside world, and with no way of contacting his family before he was eventually released to try and rebuild his life. My parents' stories had a profound impact on me. Fundamentally, I wanted a project that was worthy of the sacrifices they had made to give me the opportunities that I've had in my life. And at the same time, I didn't want to reinvent myself every 5 years. I wanted to create something that hadn't been done before and not simply innovate at the application layer. I wanted to explore questions of science in a way that would fire my heart and captivate my imagination for decades, not just the next few years. What I needed was a lifelong endeavor. I cast about for different possibilities, examining various sectors for the potential to make transformational advances. But while some areas I looked at seemed promising, none of them entranced me or lit the fire that I was seeking. Then one night, during a dinner with friends, we began talking about the brain, about its central place in the human experience, its incredible capabilities, and about what we did and did not know about it, what we could and could not do with it. That conversation ran on late into the night, and over the next weeks, I found myself returning to the subject again and again, captivated by the possibilities and the challenges. It became clear to me during this time that I had found the fuel for my fire, the human brain, 3 pounds of pure potential. In the years since, we've taken neuroscientific research out of the walled garden of the laboratory and into the real world, and this opens up endless possibilities. To give you some examples, the brain is a dynamic system that continually rewire and reprogram itself. This process of neuroplasticity can be leveraged to study and improve our thought processes. For instance, by monitoring and comparing the brain activity in professional athletes, we have been able to see how the best players process information and react to different stimuli under stress. For athletes, real-time brain data provides insights into better ways of thinking, allowing players to up their game by consciously and deliberately adopting the same types of identifiable thought patterns used by the best. And this is just the beginning of what we can do. A research study we conducted in collaboration with road safety experts in Australia shows how this technology can be used to offer practical solutions to deadly problems.
WA has the worst state road fatality rate in Australia. We used to have one of the best. And one of the biggest and least talked about killers is driver inattention. To do something about it, the RAC created the world's first attention-powered car. It works by using a neuro headset to make the car go when you're paying attention and slow when you're not. To put it to the test under real driving conditions, we set off on a road trip around regional WA. We discovered some pretty interesting things along the way.
There you go. Concentrate, darling.
And experienced driving in the wheat belt where the road fatality rate is more than 6 times higher than the state average. Did you imagine you'd have this much inattention?
No, no way.
To see how the different drivers performed and what we're learning about inattention, go to forthebetter.com.au.
We can even apply this technology to learning environments. By monitoring when our attention is most focused and by providing automatic feedback and assistance in response to signs of stress or fatigue, we can tailor the learning experience to each individual.
Learning plays an important part in each and everyone's working life. We all prefer different ways of learning. Some of us prefer reading, some learn better from video, and our own circumstances mean we face challenges on when and where we can learn. So what if we could understand your emotional and cognitive state while you're learning? EMOTIV and SAP are working to make it a reality and adapt your experience in real time. We can detect precisely when you've lost focus, when you are stressed, and what type of learning support you need in that specific moment. By understanding the learning material that works best for you, and by understanding your environment, to provide an experience that continuously adapts to meet your emotional and cognitive state. Combining the best-in-class learning platform from SAP and cutting-edge neurotechnology from EMOTIV, we are shaping a vision to revolutionize workplace learning. Join us in shaping the future of learning.
These advances have not always come easily. I've often found myself frustrated, puzzled, exhausted. What has helped carry me through these difficult times and through the moments of self-doubt has been my passion for this endeavor. And you will need passion too if you are to travel the long road. Passion is an essential starting point, but it's not by itself enough. I believe these 3 factors have been central to my company's ongoing success in innovation. Clarity of vision, adaptation and persistence over a long period of time, courage and conviction in the face of uncertainty. When setting out on this journey, it was vital to have a clear view of what we wanted to achieve. Our vision is to seek a better understanding of the human brain while finding ways to interpret it and connect to it. Our perceptions and experience of the world are all filtered through the brain. We don't directly experience what is out there around us. Instead, we experience the model our brain builds of what is out there. And while our models will all have things in common, they will also be unique and personal. A colorblind person will experience colors differently. A trained musician will hear music differently, and memories of events will differ greatly between any 2 eyewitnesses. Not only does the brain define our experience of the world, but it also defines who we are. We can replace almost any organ in our body without losing our identity. But even a minor brain injury that results in frontal lobe damage can cause changes in personality so dramatic that they can alienate our loved ones and set us apart from our friends. They're not the same person anymore, is sadly something we often hear in these situations. The brain is our most important, most vital asset, the seat of the self and the center of our personal universe. Tapping into this asset offers almost limitless potential. the potential to reshape ourselves and our world, the potential to unleash myriad new possibilities. But the brain is also vulnerable. Despite advances in science, we cannot replace our brains. And even if we could, it's not clear someone would still be the same person afterwards. And this is a problem that will become increasingly important as medical science continues to prolong human life. The biological brain simply isn't built to last 100 years. So if we are to ensure that the brain remains fit for purpose as we move into the future, we must investigate it, learn how it works, and develop new strategies for preserving, or better, for improving its health and its capabilities. So that was our vision, but it wasn't enough to stare misty-eyed into the future. The destination is only one part of a journey, and to reach it, we have to know both from where we start and how to bridge the gap between our beginning and our end points. Developing transformative technologies takes time, and as time passes, conditions will change. It's necessary to make predictions about the changes that will occur while we fare forward, and to be able to adapt in order to take advantage of those changes when they happen. One eye must always remain on the ultimate goal, and if developing trends offer a better way of achieving that vision, we must be willing to change our focus to pursue it. When we started our journey, the landscape was very different to that which we inhabit now. The equipment used at the time to read brain activity was cumbersome and expensive. Conventional EEG systems cost many tens of thousands of dollars per unit and required specialist technicians to fit them each time they were used. So we knew that we would need to invent new technologies in order to move towards our goal. Increases in computing power, smartphones, the possibilities of cloud computing, and greater public acceptance of wearable devices intersected to make it possible for us to do something even more far-reaching. We had paved the way for portable and affordable brain scanners that made it possible to gather data on a massive scale. We could now aggregate data that could one day be the key to predicting and preventing brain-related illnesses that afflict some 2 billion people throughout the world. There is still much, much more that we will be able to do in the future as we see the further development and convergence of trends. The important thing for us will be to remain agile, to be prepared to meet these developments head-on and have the courage to follow our vision and move into new areas when the possibility for revolutionary change arises. The changes that we aim for are not iterative improvements. We strive for revolution rather than evolution at each stage in our development, aiming to move the sector forward in leaps and bounds instead of simply tweaking what has gone before. This sort of disruptive innovation relies on predicting and anticipating the future so that we are in the right place and properly prepared to intersect with it at the right time. And where developments can't be predicted, we have to ensure that we're flexible enough to adapt and change course to take advantage of new approaches that can be integrated into our roadmap. Of course, when interacting with trends that span decades, we're faced with a great deal of uncertainty. And forging your own path in the face of long periods of uncertainty takes courage and conviction. I learned about courage and conviction in the face of uncertainty at an early age, mostly from observing my mother. It took my mother 4 years of planning before she arranged for our escape from Vietnam. We slipped out of harbor and into the unknown on a converted US tugboat disguised as a fishing vessel in the company of 158 other voyagers. My mother was just 21 years old, but she was willing to chance the dangers of a slow death adrift at sea, or a speedy but no less unpleasant death at the hands of the pirates who infested those waters, with no more defense than a bottle of poison to lessen our suffering if it came to the worst. She didn't know how the journey would end, but she took that risk, sailed out into those uncertain seas because she believed in her vision of what could be possible if we reached Australia. And when we did finally make it to our destination, my mother was again confronted with the challenge of building a new life in an unfamiliar land, putting food on the table for our family, and somehow finding the resources, both mental and financial, to drive her daughters forward to succeed. As I grew, she provided me with a constant example of how to face the unknown with courage and dignity. I have found that the same type of spirit and resilience is necessary to build a company and develop technologies in a world where much about the future is uncertain. When your goal is to change paradigms, you will often be confronted by experts who will tell you it can't be done. But if you have a clear vision of what you want to achieve, and if you have the courage to pursue it in the face of doubt, then it can't be done becomes an irresistible challenge rather than an insurmountable obstacle. So I gathered around myself a team of people who relished the challenge of doing what can't be done, and together we have sought to redefine the parameters of the possible. The uncertainties we faced at the beginning sometimes seemed overwhelming. It was unclear if it was scientifically feasible to decipher meaning from the myriad of electrical impulses that can be observed from the surface of the scalp. And even if we could work out the algorithms to decode these impulses, there was still further uncertainty. Would it be possible to engineer a product that would be 100 times more affordable than the devices then available while still maintaining an equivalent signal quality? Would researchers adapt and adopt our products in sufficient numbers to make them viable? Since no one had built devices like ours before, we had to make predictions about whether people would be willing to purchase and use them. We were carried through these uncertainties by a combination of a deep-seated belief in our vision and a practical realism. An attitude of creative foolishness is needed if you are to ignore the predictions of the elders, the experts. But romantic as it is to think of oneself as an open-minded dreamer, it's important not to become detached from hard-nosed realism. Courage is needed to face down risk. Conviction in your cause to overcome uncertainty. But uncertainty can lead to dead ends, and it's not enough to simply wish risk away. Risk and uncertainty need to be managed. Facing uncertainty means facing the possibility that things can go wrong, so it's important then to identify affirmations of your vision along the way. Small victories that can act as flags marking out the path forward. Being the courageous fool is necessary for disruptive innovation, but it's not enough to simply have faith in your end results. Courage should be tempered by practical pragmatism. Just as it is important to hold to your vision, so too is it important to be able to recognize the need to make changes and modify your path in light of new facts, new discoveries, and changes in the environment. You must take risks. You must roll the dice. But when you do, you should be sure you have done everything possible to stack the odds in your favor. I've been very lucky in my life. When I was brought into this world, it was as part of a strong family and with examples I could look up to and seek to emulate. But I was lucky in another way as well. I was born an outsider. After the fall of South Vietnam, my family were outsiders in our native land. Once I reached Australia, I was an outsider of another sort, an immigrant, someone who looked different to the other kids, who had a different history, and who spoke differently, at least to begin with. For many immigrants, this otherness can be a source of great pain, but for some of us, it can provide a deep well of strength. As an immigrant, not to mention as a woman in the technology sector, I've received many valuable lessons on how to live outside normality. And these lessons have aided me in the pursuit of my goal to develop transformational technology. It's easier for an outsider to develop a distinctive vision of how things could be different, to face the kind of uncertainty that we have seen our parents face their whole lives, to accept that great changes may be needed between one's start point and one's end. An outsider can say no to the experts more easily than someone who sits with them inside the bubble of the current paradigm. In short, it helps to embrace the idea of being an outsider if disruptive innovation is your goal. For some of us, that mindset comes more naturally than for others. But we've all felt isolated from time to time, felt different, felt apart from the crowd. So if I could leave you with just one piece of advice, it would be this: value being something other than the norm. Value the perspectives it can offer, and never surrender your uniqueness for the comfort of fitting in. I'd like to close with a final video of Rodrigo Mendes. 29 years ago, Rodrigo became paralyzed from the neck down as a result of a carjacking incident in Brazil. Thanks to the technology we invented, Rodrigo became the first person in the world to drive a Formula One car using only the power of his mind.
In Brazil, there are 45 million people with some disability and many abilities. How can skills stand out more than limitations? How can we urge people to respect diversity and overcome prejudices? Global presents Powered by Respect. For the first time, a quadriplegic drove a race car with mind control. To enhance awareness, we built a very special car. Our innovation team combined EEG brain power technology with steering algorithms and track mapping.
O carro tem computador de bordo que traduz esses pensamentos para comandos efetivos no carro. Ele consegue atuar em todos os elementos mecânicos do carro.
Direita. Acelera.
Wow. And we had speed, temperature, and heart rate controls.
It doesn't have pedals, it doesn't have a steering wheel, it doesn't have anything. It's just him and his mind driving it forward. It blew my mind.
It was the vehicle to launch a social responsibility action on our channels and digital platforms. The campaign kicked off the Formula One season.
Uma pessoa com tetraplegia.
It hit the media and social media.
Technologies, it's great power to transform.
So the idea of just moving an object with my mind is already the stuff of science fiction. But driving a Formula One car, it takes it up to another level.
If limits can be overcome, so can prejudice.
Thank you, everyone.
Absolutely fantastic, Tan. Thank you so much. I know you have to catch a plane, but we have about 5 minutes. Would you mind a question or two? Anybody have I can't imagine driving a car with my brain, but I have hard enough time. I have one, actually. I'm sure you know Anil Jain is a neuroscientist, and he's fascinating. He talks about that our perceptions filtered through our senses and into the brain are essentially a shared hallucination. So I'm colorblind, and what I see as red we both know it is red, but it may be completely different for you.
Yes,
So
that's right.
how-
You're totally right.
So how do you customize these things? 'Cause everybody's got a different brain and a different way it processes it. So how long does it take for, say, that driver to learn how to drive it?
So that's a great question, Jim. So the machine learning algorithms are designed to adapt to you. So the way that it works is you start first with a baseline, which is just a natural state. We observe what does your brain look like when you're just hanging out, being yourself, not trying to tell it to move forward. Then you show the machine how you think about a command, such as move forward, turn right, turn left. And so every time you show it that command, you need to come up with a very distinct thought in your mind. And essentially the machine learning algorithm is picking up these very, very, very tiny little fluctuations in the brain activity. So it does require, one, very good algorithms that can pick up very tiny fluctuations from all of the noise that you might be getting from fleeting thoughts. But at the same time, it also requires you to come up with a very distinct idea, because everyone thinks about the idea of moving forward quite differently. I might visualize a heavy object moving forward. Rodrigo could be thinking about kicking a soccer goal. So that's why we need to have these fairly adaptable algorithms. It doesn't take very long. So to train a one-dimensional command takes about 16 seconds. So 8 seconds of a baseline and then 8 seconds of the action state.
Fascinating. One more quick question. And we have lots of takers here. We'll have to get the closest one. There. Sorry, Eamon.
I'm just wondering, what's like the delay on response time for...
Latency is a great question. So latency for some of these commands are relatively short, and for others can be, the more commands you add, the harder it becomes. So if you are thinking about a single command, it's fairly robust and it's not perceptible, the delay. As you add more and more commands, it's harder for yourself to get back into that zone repeatedly. It's also harder for the algorithm. Sometimes it can take, it can feel like a second before it starts to trigger. And so in the driving, there were sensors in the car to make sure that it knew the track that it would follow. And so if Rodrigo lost his ability to drive, at least we wouldn't hurt him anymore. So that was very important. We had to make sure, at least from a safety standpoint, he was protected so that the cars had sensors on it. But aside from that, the driving, the control of the vehicle was all up to him. And he did spend about 3 weeks practicing, so he was quite good by that stage. But great question. Latency is one of the biggest challenges with the technology that's non-invasive. Once we get to invasive implants, it won't be so limiting. Yeah. But again, implants has its own constraints.
Wow. Let's thank Tan Le for a fascinating talk.
Thank you very much, everyone.
That was really something. Fascinating and I hope inspiring, and of course the students asked the most astute question. My pleasure right now is to introduce one of the founders of our Innovation Fellows program and supporter and mentor and just all around great guy. David Slump is CEO of Marelli. He is, that company's a global automotive supplier based in Japan. But David is headquartered in Milan, Italy, and he also has a home in Atlanta. So he spends a lot of time on airplanes these days. He's a very good innovator and a very good coach and mentor for some of our students and supporter, an ISU alum, and just a wonderful guy. So David, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about the program.
Thanks, Jim. Wow, that was heavy. So first thing I want to do is just thank the innovators here. Energy feeds energy. And I landed Wednesday night from Tokyo, and after being there 3 weeks, I could have some jet lag, but 2 days invested with you, I'm just leaving here full of such energy. And I want to thank you for that. And where the energy really comes, at breakfast we talked, you're such eloquent communicators, team players, inclusive. You're demonstrating all the stuff we hoped out of this program. But what inspires me most is that it takes most of us a life to figure out the purpose of life is the life of purpose. And you're demonstrating that right out of the gate. So thanks for that. And I know where you get all this energy, because it's great to see Karen in 3D, okay? And all the energy you've put into this program feeding and fueling the energy. Thank you for that. So the Innovation Fund Challenge was an inspiration when the building was being put up, that a building needs more than just 4 walls. It needs programming, like the fellows programming, and it needs funding so people can continue to learn hands-on. And the real innovation was to provide funding for hands-on learning for teams, undergraduate teams, to work on an MVX, a minimal viable product, service, or civic program. And we're here today to recognize the class of 2021 for bringing it home and delivering results, and the class of 22 for what you're going to work on. And what's fun on this, and I know I can speak for Dennis, is, you know, the goal here was kind of the 1 + 1 = 3 spirit of philanthropy. You know, we're not just given time or money, we're given time. And you're taking advantage of that time and the learning and the investment, and that's quite inspiring. So, opening up with the class of 2021, some of you may recall from last year we had the first program, We Can Honey Do It. This was really prairie strip honey, taking land and creating honey. And I want to acknowledge Reed. If you want to just stand up, Reed. I want to acknowledge Reed. He was not the original program person that took this over, but he took it over and brought it home. And the honey was produced, and it's available on campus. You can buy it in the upstairs, on campus, in the cafe. And if you haven't tasted it, it's a 20% premium, so they demonstrated they could get a premium price of 20%. And if you taste it next to normal honey, it's really good. Put it on a charcuterie board. I promise you, you'll enjoy. The second team was insecticide. And I want to reiterate what Tanja said, persistence, because Brenner and the team here demonstrated huge persistence on this project. There were a couple points in the reviews where I thought they just aren't going to be able to do this. They were trying to take a microphone and determine the sound signature using machine learning of an endangered bumblebee. And I'm happy to report that they've successfully put together a machine learning algorithm that's 90% accurate in a controlled environment and can distinguish a bumblebee from a honeybee. So I'd like the team to come up. Brenner, Joy, Justone, and Luke. And then the next team was really an interesting new club, I'm going to call it now. But they took on a challenging triple aim project, taking recycled material and how to collect recycled material, turn that into 3D printed material, and print musical instruments. It was quite an ambitious project, and they've accomplished it. But I think what more importantly they've accomplished is through the coaching. I challenged Eamon, well, if you want to make a new club, what's your succession plan? And they now have the next class of leadership taking over, and we want to complement that. They also took outreach to the next level and are working to extend the program at the University of Northern Iowa and the University of Iowa. So congrats for that. They've accomplished their goal, and they've actually created an industry first with the 3D printed material out of PET. So I'd like to acknowledge Eamon, Andrew, and Abby. You know, they also proposed a new MVX for the next year, so we're going to fund them at $3,000 to sustain this effort. And Eamon's successor, Abby, will be taking over, so congrats to that. Moving on to the class of 2022. So a lot more applicants this year. We had round one of applicants, a lot more to choose from. I want to acknowledge the help of the judges here and the deans. We also have two contenders we'd like to acknowledge. Creative Big Win and Live Fit eSolutions for making it to the live final rounds. Thank you. The first award recipient is Gutter, interesting name, but I think anybody who has had kids on college campus knows that move-out day where they see everything go into the trash bin and wished somebody else could use that futon for the next year. So the MVX here is to develop an Iowa State app to actually recycle and resell the material and find a marketplace for the users. And I'd like to ask Elvis to come up. You know, over the last year, I had the fortunate chance to work in an area of digital health, and it's fascinating to see what's happening in digital health and therapeutics by health companies. And this next project reminded me of that. Calf Tent, quite inspirational project. It's more complicated than I can explain, but in essence, injecting a sensor into a cow to have real-time MRI so that they could prevent deaths. And they were the award recipient of the Feed the World Challenge yesterday. And we didn't think that was sufficient because personally, as an electrical engineer, I think the networking of Zigbee is still a challenge. So we're gonna fund your networking Zigbee project for the MVX to make sure that the sensor can communicate and find that calf out on the range. So, Brandon. Any of you that have run manufacturing know that, you know, SQDC, safety, quality, delivery, and cost are the key metrics. But if we look at where money's invested, far more is in delivery and quality than safety. So what's inspirational about this last team, Safety Scan, is they want to put technology and wearables and machine learning through cameras to take safety to the next level of prevention. So happy to acknowledge Safety Scan, led by Philip and Sarah. Congrats to all the innovators.
Thanks to David and Christine Slump for their continuing support of this great program. It's really wonderful. Let's have a round of applause for David and Christine. I have now the honor of introducing Karen Piccone-Kearns for a very special announcement. Are you ready, Karen?
I am real, and I do have a smile. I had the opportunity to meet most of you in person for the first time. All these innovators I've been working with, Dennis Muhlenberg for 2.5 years, met him for the first time in person this year. So this has been really amazing. But I am here to actually welcome up someone else who is pretty incredible, and that's Judy Isles. Judy Isles is going to be honoring our SciStarters, and she'll introduce who those are. Judy has been here for a long time and has done just an incredible job here with our entrepreneurship ecosystem. And, you know, it was a joke about who's up in the middle of the night exchanging emails. Middle of the night, 4 in the morning, whatever it takes, whenever it is. This woman works nonstop and has dedicated many, many years, 25 years, to Iowa State in creating an ecosystem and a culture of entrepreneurship. So I have the pleasure of introducing Judy Isles, who is a champion of student entrepreneurship. She will honor our 2022 SciStarters, students who will participate in a program responsible for fostering hundreds of student businesses. But I want to share just a few words about Judy's 25 years of leadership as part of ISU Papa John Center. Judy has shaped the center and grown it to what it is today. She has fostered industry and agency partnerships to evolve best practices entrepreneurial programming for students and the larger community. She has directly impacted thousands of students, many of whom are business owners today. And today we celebrate Judy Isles by honoring her for pioneering university-wide entrepreneurship. Judy? Thanks for everything.
Thank you. Okay, so that was not on the agenda that I had, so surprise. I can't accept this without acknowledging the other 8 people that are at the Papa John Center. 3 of them sitting right here, Jean, Sam, and Megan, so thank you. We work incredibly hard. We believe in Iowa State's innovation and entrepreneurship mission and work very hard to work on that every day. So thank you, Karen, and thanks to all of you who are a part of all this. Still want me to talk about SciStarters? I don't know if there's a slide for that. They're not here. We've asked them to come twice to campus. Okay, good. There's all the students. So for those of you who don't know, SciStarters is our summer immersive campus accelerator for student entrepreneurs, open to undergraduate and graduate students. So we, on Wednesday, over at the Innovation Center, announced our 7th cohort. It is a collaborative effort among all the academic colleges. So now we have Start Something in every college. And so the colleges are doing a great job of preparing students for SciStarters. And the deans of all the colleges, thank you, also financially support this program. It's a pretty big one. And we have 14 student entrepreneurs, 2 coming out of the Innovation Fellows program. So Creative Big Win and Safety Scan, who have made the circuit all over the country competing in pitch competitions successfully, are going to be a part of our cohort of 14 this summer. So we're excited to have them. I was told I had less than a minute to talk. July 28th is our big campus celebration demo day when we bring all the students after they've done 11 weeks of work. We have work to do with Safety Scan. We got to get them successful over the summer. So we'll be working closely on that. But if you can all come out to the core facility on July 28th, we have a big celebration, and the students all give their community pitches. So hope some of you can attend. And thank you, Karen, and thanks to everybody.
Thank you, Judy, and congratulations for a very successful and meaningful career. My pleasure again to introduce President Winterstein to acknowledge some of the other contributors for our program.
Thanks, Jim. Well, it really is my pleasure to thank our innovators in residence and our partners for these important programs that we've been talking about here. Innovator in Residence is a designation reserved for contributors who regularly coach our Innovation Fellow students, who sponsor and deliver intrapreneurship projects over a 16-week period with select student consultants, and co-found and coach our innovation team in various aspects of the program. The activity of our Innovators in Residence with our students, your sharing of your unique expertise and serving as coaches and mentors is invaluable. You are wonderful role models for our students, inspiring them to see what is possible when they harness the power of their cyclone spirit of innovation and entrepreneurship. We are so very grateful for your time and investment, talent and resources to support our students as they take the next steps in becoming leaders and innovators. So I want to recognize these individuals, and so for those in attendance, please stand as I call your name, and to everybody else, please try to hold your applause until the end. So James Altamirano, is James here? Okay. Gary Griswold, I don't think Gary's here. Dennis Muhlenberg, I have a winner. That's fine. Yes, go ahead and applaud. David Slump. David, yes. Jeff Underwood. Let's see. Gopi Katragudda. Seema Katragudda. Okay. Anna Pinto. Excellent. Paul Willard. Okay. Anthony Sardella. Hudson Haar. Robert Piccone. Michael Van Paris. Louis Carr. I know they were here earlier this week. James Waters. Well, so one additional round of applause for all of our Innovators in Residence. Thank you again. Oh, I think it's you.
Thank you. I should pay attention to the program. So when Karen got this program off the ground, it was basically we began at the beginning of COVID, March 2020. And I was panicked that I had this beautiful new facility and we want it full of people and activities and excitement, and yet we didn't know what the future held. And so with Karen's energy, enthusiasm, creativity, we created the beginnings of the Innovation Fellows Program and the Professional Practices Forum and the iFit program, which is aimed at high schools and recruiting. All that happened in 6 months, and all of it was delivered virtually. And a lot of these folks that you see just volunteered, which is incredible, to help, right, and to mentor. So we typically like to pair a faculty expert with an industry or alum contributor, that you just saw some of those, on these interdisciplinary projects to give students that kind of experience. So this year we began to actually try and incentivize some. So KP is here. There's a number. I'm just going to ask all of, if your picture's up there, you need to stand up all at once, okay? Yay. Thank you, one and all. We couldn't do it without your help. It's absolutely critical to have the faculty engagement, and we're going to continue to grow that in the future. Now, we get to do the fun stuff. Not that it hasn't been fun so far. But our Innovation Fellows Awards, this is a training program, an extracurricular training program for students to learn how to be innovators. And again, Karen designed it with David's help and Dennis's help and others' help. But there are 3 basic levels of accomplishment. The training has 3 levels as well. We have mindset layer of activities, and then experiences where you start to experience innovation, and finally meaningful contribution. If you go through all of that activity and participate, and again, you don't get a grade. It's extracurricular, but it's a serious commitment. So Karen, did you want to come up and do this? Come on.
Thanks, Jim. Sure. Before I do this, I want to thank Dennis Mulberg and David Slump. Would you stand up? They were co-founders in this experience. You have to know they dedicated hundreds of hours, literally. And both of them met with me. You met with me every other week. You still meet with me every week. And the level of commitment that these two volunteer people are investing has been phenomenal. And because of them, I was able to do what I needed to do. Their frank feedback, their creativity, the way in which to handle the students. And I am very grateful, and we are very grateful and lucky to have you. Thank you. I'm going to do a little graduation address for you guys. The Innovation Fellows Program, and I had to write it out because I'll wander. The Innovation Fellows Program is not for the faint of heart. It is a rigorous program for those who participate in it, requiring self-awareness and assessment and the capacity to put yourself deliberately in situations that are fraught with risk, discomfort, unfamiliarity, conflict, challenge, and unpredictability. Today, I congratulate our Innovation Fellows who have completed a minimum of 120 hours for their certificate, 340 hours for their cardinal pin, and more than 540 hours to receive the Distinguished Gold Pin. Some of these students sitting here put in more than 1,000 hours, absorbed by challenges, collaboration with industry-sponsored sprints, technical learning sessions, professional practice sessions, and coaching. Many of these additionally developed professional practice plans and worked with some of the most notable industry executives and influencers pioneering next-generation technology. It didn't say the company names under those innovators in residence that you saw, but I want to tell you some of them are globally renowned for the awards that they've won and for the innovation that they are conducting now. Some of the students, amazingly, are freshmen and sophomores. And if they are sitting in these chairs, it's because they have already earned their gold pin of distinction so early in their careers that they will now serve as future project managers in sponsored innovation sprints. We have much to admire in this next generation of innovators. We invited them to revision their expectations of their performance. We challenged them to see themselves as consultants, collaborators, innovators, and to set a more compelling expectation for themselves as through their accomplishments, causing us, their teachers, innovators, advisors, and peers, to change our expectations of how old, how smart, how much experience a young person has to have in order to contribute meaningfully and impactfully. By their performance, persistence, passion, and purpose, these students have not only changed themselves, they have changed me, our industry innovators, our faculty, our staff, and the ecosystem of our university. I will not forget them or the experience I have had with them in these first 2 years of our Innovation Fellows program. In the fall of 2021, we started with 12 students taking a risk in a time where others were collapsing under COVID influence. In spring of 2022, we now have 150 Innovation Fellows. Innovated Iowa State is not only a brand, it is an invitation, a promise, a commitment to our students, our faculty, collaborators, and the world that confronts us with so many challenges and opportunities. These students have wholeheartedly, with great courage and great impact, accepted the invitation, delivered on the promise, and committed through word and deed their minds, bodies, and spirits to those challenges and opportunities awaiting them. Thank you, my brilliant fellows. for what you have taught me and taught us about invention, innovation, and insight. I present to you, if you will stand, the 2022 class of our Innovation Fellows.
Thank you, Karen, for everything you've done. And again, your passion, enthusiasm, it's infective and just motivates everybody to keep going and do more. So thank you so much. At this point, I'd like to invite my colleagues Dennis Muhlenberg and David Slump to the podium to announce the awards. We're going to start with the certificate. That's 120 hours. And for the certificate students, if you are here, we're going to ask you to stand and recognize you, and then after the fact, you get to have a plaque. So we have, how many? We have quite a few. We have Hannah Christensen, Octavia Grimes, Sydney Paris, Ryan Shahovic, thank you, Samuel Scar, Isaac Thoensen, Tyler Tuller, and Chidinama Kalu, and Jeffrey Wagstaff. Are you here? If you are, please stand up, and we'll acknowledge you. Next, we have our Cardinal Awards, and we're going to ask you to come up and get your certificate and pin. The Cardinal winners. Cardinal Fellows have put in at least 340 hours, and we're going to ask you, we're going to go in this order and see if they're here. So if you hear your name called, come down, and Dennis and David will deliver the award. I don't know if we'll have time for photos for everyone, but let's start with Keshav Athria. Is Keshav here? Rami Beavers. Is Rami here? No. Brandon Burt. There he is. Come on down, Brandon. You have to fish it out of there, yeah. Actually, we should go in that order, yeah. Why don't I get that, look at those, and then we can do it in order. Yeah, let's do this. Okay. This is much more efficient. Sure. Madeline Carver. Is Madeline here? Yes. Thanks, Madeline. Good work. Elaine Cross. Is Elaine here? Nope. These will be available. Next, we have Ian Glusling. Ian's not here. Next, Luke Harris. No Luke. Next, Bailey Haug. No Bailey. Next, we have Justin Holenrake. No Justin. Taline Josie. Yay. I know this one's here. Elvis, come on down. Elvis is in the building. Elvis Kimura. Ramit Krishnan. Anna Moldizik. Anna? Moldizik, okay. I know this one. You want to skip this one? Luke Muhlenberg, come on down. You have another year to get that gold. Next, Connor Onzorge. There he is. Come on. Connor had a really cool project on automated driving, which I want to talk to him about because it's fascinating. Gabriel Ortiz. Come on down, Gabriel. Callan Randall. Robert Rice. Simon Santiago Bedigru. Simon's not here. Haley Schultz. No Haley. Elizabeth Smith. Elizabeth. Madeline Jaden. Nope. Caitlin Tedesco. There she is. Ryan Watts. No Ryan? Okay. Last but not least, Kylie Wood. Is Kylie here? No Kylie. Let's give a big round of applause for all our Cardinal Fellows. Next, we have our Gold Fellows, Gold level of distinction, 540 hours of commitment over some in 1 year, some in 2 years. It's really been incredible. So we'll do this in the same fashion because it's easier this way. I know he's not here. Imju is, Im is here? Oh, sorry, Im, come on up. I didn't see you there. I thought you weren't here. Im Alam. He does really fascinating augmented reality textbooks. Thank you, Im. Yes. Luke Becker. These guys are all here. Jansen Bundridge. We know all these people. Katerina Connolly. Vivian Cook. Vivian, are you here? Nope, okay. Reed, we know Reed is here. Come on up, Reed Duncan. One of our early adopters. Abigail Freymuth. The next leader of the Reform crew. Thanks for stepping up, Abigail. And Sam Golok. Philip Gorney. Arman Gupta. There he is. Excellent. DeMarcus Hurd. Looks like she did get him in order. Seth Hershkamp. Seth, are you here? Seth's not here. Okay. Ryan is. Ryan Hurley, come on over. And Khushi Kapoor, come on up, Khushi. She took off. She took off. That's right. That's right. Huntsville. She's busy. Ayman Karmi is here. Ayman Karmi. Yep. Chinar Kaul. No Chinar. Eve Newland. Yay. Sarah Ng. Tyler Rubisky. Alyssa Rodriguez. There she is. Andrew Ruba. Brenner Stickney. Looking sharp, Brenner. Mallory Tope. There she is. In addition to all that time she spent, she's an employee of the Student Innovation Center and does great work in communications and photography and all that stuff. So thank you, Mallory. Faith Toa. No Faith. Kyle Vanderham. And Jed Wise. Come on, Jed. Thank you, David and Dennis. You may be seated. We do have one more bonus round because we did have a challenge today. We had the music challenge, which I got to go up for a couple of rounds of it. It was fascinating. Students designed and created instruments and actually played a tune on them. I can't remember, someone was going to be here to present these. He's coming down. Thank you. I should know the name, but Michael Galimo, come on down. And it was fascinating. So we had mechanical engineers doing a pipe organ with a tube and a machine. It was really fascinating. So all kinds of things. So I have the certificates. You get to announce the awards. All right, Michael?
Thank you, James. Yes. Yeah, thank you. First, I'd like to recognize and thank our adjudicators. We had Lance LeDuc with us. He's up here from Carnegie Mellon University. Justin Smiley-Oyen from NIAC. We had Gavin Brame with us. He is a research engineer with Conn-Selmer Incorporated, the largest musical instrument company in the country. They own Steinway. They own everything. And Dean Beata Schmidtman was with us as well. We had 8 presentations today. They were all superb. We have a variety of awards, and we even created a special award because we thought one deserved that. So these are the awards in no particular order. The Best Reimagined Instrument, which has an award of $1,500, will go to the Brass with Class organization for the trombone shoulder that they invented. Yeah, yeah.
Mallory, we'll do a photo. Sitting in the cheap seats. Come on down, you guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Here, hold this up and look up there. There you go.
Thank you.
And I'll share with these guys too. We'll be talking later, but Gavin with Conn-Selmer said they would like to talk with you very seriously. So, yeah, there's, yeah. The Best Invented Instrument, which comes with an award of $1,500, goes to Stringboard 500. We added an award called the Sustainability Prize, and this award will be for $1,000, and it goes to Tribal Machines.
Man, you,
job,
you
Amy.
do everything.
Too much. Too much winning. You gotta stop. They gotta stop. That's why you graduated.
Congrats, Amy.
And the Best Composition Award. After the students invented or reimagined an instrument, one of the things they had to do was write a piece of music and then perform that music on their instrument. The Best Composition Award, which is $500, goes to Stringboard 500.
Yep.
We'll make you come down twice. Congrats.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, you get one plaque.
All right. Yes. And the final award is the Best in Show. It's called Leave a Legacy Award of $3,500 and includes a free consultation with the Conn-Selmer Company. Goes to Brass with Class for the trombone shoulder. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. I'm sorry to bungle the intro. Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you very much.
Congrats, guys. That's exciting. You got a new business to get going. That's really exciting. Yes.
Bravo.
Yes, bravo. I feel like we just had a commencement or something. It's really been fantastic. I want to congratulate all of our fellows, all of the sprint and challenge winners. It's just been a really fantastic week. Special thanks to Karen and our mentors here, David and Dennis. Thanks to President Winterstein for supporting us so well through this effort. We are going to continue to grow it and begin to change the world. So thank you all for attending. Do we have one more? No. She says no. She's plenty. Yeah. I think my heart is warm, and this has been a labor of love for all of us, the whole staff, the staff of the Student Innovation Center, as well as our help from our AV people, just professionally done. And again, a lot of volunteer work from all around the university to make this happen. And I appreciate you all being here to share it with us. So thank you very much.
Yeah, we are. Big time, yep.